Hello everybody, I hope you're well. This is the third time I'm recording this video, so I am determined to get through it, even if it kills me. So for those of you who have been following my work, you will have seen that I recently put out a cinematic alternative rock version of the Broadway Anthem, Defying Gravity, from the musical Wicked, and I think firstly performed by Idina Menzel. And I wanted to do this video to talk a little bit about some of the choices I made in the track in terms of like parts, arrangement, like changing things like, time signatures. And the reason I thought that might be cool to talk about it is in case, you are looking for some ideas to spice up certain compositions, or, if you're ever wanting to do a reimagination of another song, maybe you'll find them useful. Before I get to it, I wanted to talk a little bit about how this version kind of came about. So, I obviously know the song, and I love this song. I've listened to the original, although I have to say, in terms of like the various singers, I mean, they're all amazing, but the Carrie Ellis version, like Carrie Ellis's version, is probably my favorite. I just love what she did with the song. But anyhow, there is this company called Musora, and they have a YouTube channel, and I think they're affiliated to Drummer, which is just an unbelievable channel. I love what those guys do. I'm not even a drummer, but I watch more of their videos than I do guitar videos nowadays. And anyway, they have this this show where they give artists like songs there and then, and they have to do their own takes on them. And they did an episode with an artist who I didn't know, but I've since come to really love and really be inspired by him, a guy called Josh Ramsay, who's the singer and principal writer and producer from Mariana's Trench, which is an incredible band. I mean, all the guys seems like the nicest guys, and they play so well. And so he was given Defying Gravity, and he did this really fantastic rendition, and it was so awesome. Like, the video was really cool, and watching him being in the flow state and stuff and creating. So when the video was over, I was like, I have to do this. I just felt like really, really pumped and really inspired. So I sat down and I did this draft of the arrangement, I think right after I watched the video. And I actually ended up really liking it. So I got my friend Nuno Oliveira to play the drums. I mixed it and we got it mastered, and it's available for streaming and purchasing. And you can watch the video on YouTube as well. So I thought it might be cool to talk about it, but yeah, I mean, thank you so much to Josh for the inspiration and to Musora for making it happen, because I probably wouldn't have, thought of doing that if it wasn't for those guys. But so without further ado, you can grab your guitar or coffee, or, if you don't play guitar, that's still cool. Whatever, pick up the bongos or whatever it is that you play, or just don't hold anything. Just lean comfortably in your sofa, and I'll just talk about some of the things I did in my version of the song, and I hope you get something out of it. Let's go. So for the introduction and generally the entire song, I wanted to just not put any sort of obstacles in the creative flow, but at the same time I was quite aware that I wanted to honor sort of original parts of the song, because it's like the perfect song, and I felt like certain aspects of it had to be there. However, I went a little bit off piece with the intro. I'll play you the recording first, and then we'll talk about it a little bit. I won't play the whole thing because you can go and listen to it. I'll play you a few bars.
Something has changed within me. Something is not the same. I'm through with playing by the rules of someone else's game. So, I really feel that if you take a song that is in 4 and you put it into 7, it sort of adds an urgency about it, which is what I wanted for that verse, because it is very, very sparsely orchestrated. It's like guitar is like a choppy guitar part, and vocal mainly, and some discrete pads here and there. And so it just kind of felt good straight away. I think it's probably because you've got that sort of beat missing, and the vocals just come in quicker, and it just makes you maybe sing it with a little bit more urgency, not in a bad way. Just I wanted it to feel that the hero, they really wanted to get it out of their system. So I felt that kind of did the trick, And in terms of guitar, I wanted a really driving part. And again, I write a lot on guitar because I'm principally, I'm a guitar player and a fake bass player and a fake drummer, but not a very good one at times. So, I play guitar and I sing. So
I came up with this little part. And in terms of like the choice, you know, I love when there is like a major triad and you add the flat six. It gives a really magical and beautiful vibe to it. So it opens up like this. Okay, hang on. I dropped the pick. Let me go again. So it goes like this. So the first half is a little bit off piece because it's quite different from the original, at least harmonically. So we got the A with the A sus4. Well, not really sus4, it goes to the fourth, but the flat six. I love that descending movement from the six to the flat six. It's just very melancholic and very beautiful. And then the second time it goes around, it really is more true to the harmonic movement of the original song. So you got one. Again, apologies for the intonation of my guitar. It's the best I can get it today. So it's 1, 4, flat 7, 2, 5. And then we carry on to the second, I guess you can call the second half of the intro verse. And you can hear the little pads and mellotrons. I'm a big Porcupine Tree fan, so if I can get a chance to use a mellotron, I will use it. You can hear it on that side.
Too late for second guessing. Too late to go back to sleep.
And again, that's just things like little mellotrons or little pads. They add to the sense of building up without it them being sort of overbearing. You know, I still wanted it to be quite subtle.
It's time to trust my instincts. Close my eyes and
So for the pre-chorus, I wanted it to feel like the track was kind of opening up in anticipation to the chorus. Also, I wasn't going to do the chorus in 7, so I wanted to like start bringing the 4 back in. And I get a feel like it almost feels like you're taking a slight breath and the whole thing just opens up. So that is the reason for the time signature change there. I think it affects the feel, which is what I wanted in relation to the previous section. So it might be something you might want to try. And in terms of arrangement, we just got those strings coming in. Unfortunately, I'm not able to record an orchestra, but so it is fake strings, but strings nonetheless. They just add that sort of sense of anticipation and sense that, you know, something hopefully good is coming. And that's it. Again, the guitar is largely driving that section, again, because I do write on the guitar. And I love those kind of, which one of the reasons why I love much of the work from the Police. I just love those sort of palm muted guitar parts that just drive a groove. So that's it. And now let's get to the chorus. So let's take a listen to how the chorus sounds, the first chorus sounds on the recording, and then we'll talk about it a little bit.
I'm defying gravity. Kiss me goodbye. I'm defying gravity, and you can't bring me down.
So this is truly one of the most iconic choruses ever written, and I didn't feel like I just couldn't hear it any way else in terms of harmony. I didn't want to change it. So the harmony, I mean, I should say that the song like starts in A and F sharp and moves later on, but so it's literally like 6, 4, 5, or 1, flat 6, flat 7. Consider F sharp your 1. So it is that, and again, in terms of arrangement, so there's like a few layers. Again, it's very much guitar driven. So I wanted, again, quite a punchy sort of guitar part. So I came up with this thing, which I will play you in a bit, but let me play it in context. You got the strings and the vocals. And and that's it. Quite simple in terms of arrangement. There's not a lot of things. I know the strings kind of fill in the sound, but it's still quite minimal, which is why the guitar part is quite involved. So it goes like this. I'm going to really need to practice it if I want to sing it and play it. So I know it might seem like much, but it actually, it kind of, from a production kind of standpoint, it really helps to drive it. Because you can't, at least I don't feel that if you have a section like that and everything is just open, if it was just playing like chords, and there's nothing to communicate the tempo, I think that would feel a little bit sort of just not as impactful. But that's just me. So you got that, and in the end, you got those little hits happening. And that's where, I wanted the mood to change. I wanted to become a little bit grittier because we're going back into 7, so I wanted to bring that in before the second verse, and I just wanted it to feel a little bit less gentle. So we got this guitar part playing, not very tight, I should say. Anyhow, and those stabs. It's quite sort of cinematic-y. Which again, the guitar part is along the same veins. And this is it. And vocally as well, later on the song gets much grittier, but still it's quite gentle, it's quite serene. Because I think that, the most beautiful thing about this song is even when you feel like it's kind of hit a peak, it really doesn't until the end. And I really wanted to communicate that. I wanted it to be like a very slow and steady progression towards awesomeness, hopefully. So that's about it, the first chorus. Let's take a look at verse 2. So verse 2 is where things get real fun. I've got the drums coming in, my man Nuno. Let's take a listen to the part, a little bit of it at least, and I'll talk a little bit about it.
I'm through accepting limits, 'cause someone says they're so. Some things I cannot change, but till I try, I'll never know.
So that's where the mood, and the energy of the song really picks up. This little cool do 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 do, this little unison to bring us into the verse. And I like little moments like this. I think, I know it can be too much, and I certainly have my criticism when there's songs where it's hits everywhere. But they're really those moments where the whole band is doing something together, and I'm talking about it as a band. I mean, it's two people. There literally is me and Nuno, and a bunch of fake strings. Sorry, but it just feels like the whole band is marching towards a single goal. I love little moments like this. So that brings us into the verse. And for the second verse, I wanted to stay true to the song harmonically speaking. In terms of movement, it's 1, 4, 1, 4, 1, 4, flat 7, 5. And I wanted to stay true to that, but have more of a sort of riff sort of driven section where, again, everyone is sort of kind of doing the same thing. Or I like that. If it gives me a sense of unity, and it sounds quite impactful. And again, I can only imagine how cool it would be if I could get a real orchestra on it, maybe one day. But yeah, that is the riff, and again. Communicating, translating the chords, but in a riff-based way. So I think that's really cool. And in terms of the drums as well, I like those. I always call them stickings, but I believe it's called rim clicks. Drummers, please butcher me in the comments. I should have asked Luna before I did this, but I like that sort of driving groove. it gives me like Motown vibes, but also I think it just adds a certain level of urgency and energy. So I really love that. And again, with drums, like I do tend to be like quite. I do spend a lot of time on pre-production, so I will do drum parts, and I will program stuff. But it's at times you're like, oh, maybe I'll just leave that, but it's never like the real thing. You get a great drummer like Nuno. He adds his own feel, his own flair, and so I'm really happy that he got to play on this. And again, nothing will replace the human touch, I don't think. So that is mainly the thing about the verse 2. I wanted it to feel like more of an ensemble, I guess, an ensemble riff kind of part. And again, I'm using kind of the same device as I did in the first verse, the first pre-chorus, meaning I'm going back to 4 for the pre-chorus. But a few cool things happen also, like sometimes when you have like a situation where you got that sort of unison type feel, I like to have little moments maybe that the drums like emphasize some of the lyrics and there's some stops going on. So
some things I cannot change, but till I try I'll never know. Too long.
Like things like that, again, they add a little cheek, and again, it's the feeling of togetherness. It feels like people that played together because they listened to one another and they all did this thing at the same time. And it can add a little bit of variation. And then we go to the pre-chorus when we switch out in 4. So after the last time of the verse, we transition to 4, including the last time of the verse. And I like that sometimes. I tend to do this. If I'm going to a section like a pre-chorus in 4 in the verses and in 7, I will oftentimes, even in my own songs, just take the last bar of that section, which is in 7, and add an extra beat to turn it into a 4 to smoothly transition into the next section. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm staying quite true to the original. I mean, it becomes very rock, like. Which is what we were aiming for. And again, I do like to use little steps here and there to introduce that, again, the sense of unity and sort of make things feel tighter before opening up to like a big section. So if you listen to the last bar before the second chorus, there's that cool little thing happening. I'll play along with it. Ooh.
Well, if that's love, it comes out much too higher, 'cause that's too.
So things like this, little unisons, little hits that they just, especially before you go to an explosive section, like they just make everything feel a bit smaller and tighter before you open up. And I just think that's really cool. So this is the verse 2 and pre-chorus 2, and let's go to the big second chorus. So the second chorus, I mean, I wanted it to feel like a punch in the stomach, and I did just, I think, one major change harmonically because I just love this progression. But let's take a listen to it, and then again, apologies if you've listened to the song already, and first of all, thank you if you have. But it'll give a little bit of context to what I got to say about it. So I just realized I messed up some of the chords while I was playing along. That must make me look incredibly professional. Anyhow, so yeah, like, so what I wanted for that chorus, because the last chorus gets really like, the pedal is really to the metal. I wanted it to feel open. there's not a lot of things happening. Strings as well. It's quite open. It feels quite open. And that is because I wanted to leave room for those little staccato thingies. Quoting the original arpeggios with a little bit of a twist. And I again, the whole point with this with this song is I wanted you to get the biggest, most intense chorus in the end. So I still wanted like an openness about it, but still, obviously, it's much heavier. There's a lot more things going on, and the vocals are a lot more gritty. So. Now, the only difference that I made in terms of chords, I'm a big sucker for so if F1 is a minor chord, which is here, it is like F sharp. We got that. I gotta throw a 4 major there because it just adds that sort of openness, like, which happens here. 1, flat 6, flat 7, 1, flat 6, flat 7, 4. Which adds that, it just, there's a certain sense of epic in that movement, and I really love that. So I think that's the most, maybe out of the box thing. I mean, it's not an out of the box move in terms of harmony. You can hear it all the time, but like in that song, I just wanted that sort of epic rock kind of movement in there. The other thing that's maybe a little bit different is I did this run, and again, I'm not a singer that's equipped to be doing a lot of runs. So I haven't really studied that, or it's not a big part of my vocabulary. But sometimes they come up, and that came out pretty good. The thing, this thing in the chorus. So I wasn't originally going to keep it, but then I was like, it kind of, I don't know, I kind of liked it. So I kept it, and I repeated it later on as well. Again, sometimes you're kind of thinking with like, especially with iconic songs, like, would this be a bit too, is this fitting? But I kind of, I don't know, I liked it, and it came out quite organically, so I kept it. And really, I think, I guess the main takeaway for the chorus in terms of like the production is, if you want certain things to, both in terms of like emotion or just in terms of just practical arrangement to stand out, then you gotta, certain things will just have to take a back seat. So the guitars are doing very simple things, and there's a couple of like joined, again, little sections where bass and guitar double the same things, but they don't do a lot because I wanted still to be more open and more spread, and I wanted to leave room for this. Not this. I isolated the wrong channel. I'm sorry. And in the mix is still subtle, but it's still there. You can still hear it. I'd originally pulled like harpsichords and bells, harpsichords, but I wanted that to stand out, and also I wanted to make just room for the vocal to be like the main driving force, and the strings. And harmonically speaking, I mean, I'm getting a little bit maybe too detailed, but for those of you who are into it, I kind of, because that section lasts for a long time, I wanted it to feel again quite mysterious, and you do have that if you have a major sharp 4 scale, Lydian scale. So, so when I'm playing this one, when I'm sitting on that chord, I'm thinking that chord, I guess you could say as the 4 chord of D major. Again, with stuff like that, I'm just thinking, what is the feel that I wanted to give? I wanted to feel kind of magical and stuff, and you're going to get that with that kind of tone, which links nicely to the next part for the breakdown. Now for the breakdown, I wanted to go back to B. There you go. So there's that little unison, which is an F sharp 7 arpeggio. And again, this is a little bit maybe too deep for some of you if you're not that much into it, but it's just see it as a entry into maybe a different device. This is just an F sharp 7 arpeggio, which is really a 5 chord to take us back into B minor, which is the second chord of A major. You can use moments, you can use 5 chords to take you into other chords inside a key. And again, it doesn't, it's not a prolonged section, but it just adds that sort of flow. It links up the transition to that sort of B minor. So yeah, again, for the chorus, I wanted space. I added that cheeky 4 chord of F sharp minor, the major one, because it just adds that rock openness. Again, vocals are gritty, and I took the liberty, well, not intentionally, I just kind of did this run when I was doing takes, and I was like, that sounds kind of cool, let's keep it. I was in 2 minds, but I kept it. Let me know what you think of it. And yeah, we got, I guess, that little transition to B minor at the end of the chorus, which again, you can use those little, again, creating a 5 to whatever chord that it is that you want to go, just to add sort of intensity and like, and just flow into another chord in a more conclusive way, I guess. So let's take a look at the first, I guess I called it breakdown. Yeah, I hope that's okay. I hope that makes sense. So the following sections are probably the ones that are like quite radically different from the original. And yeah, I had quite a lot of fun with those. So I wanted the song to come down to bare bones for that sort of breakdown. So it sounds something like this.
My future is unlimited, and I just set a vision almost like a prophecy. I know.
So I did want to take it back to 7. And again, for me, it's just a sense of urgency. You get that sense of urgency in the lyrics just because you got that one beat less. So everything just moves a little bit quicker. Harmonically speaking, it's kind of like I've made it a little bit sort of pop rock, you know. If we're in A major, this is 2, 4, 6, flat 7, which again quotes some of them. This particular change happens a lot in the song. And then I'm pretty sure, you know, I watched the Hans Zimmer film recently, and I'm sure that was subconsciously sort of came out of something from Interstellar or something. But the next part, I wanted something that felt really, really dramatic, where the guitars and strings were like, yeah, quite, I guess, Hans Zimmer-y. So, you know, you got the toms, you got those little soaring melodies. So I guess that's Hans Zimmer-y. Now let's take a listen.
It sounds truly crazy, and truly vision's hazy.
And then it goes crazy. So let's break it down one by one. I'm a big fan of creating movement in guitar parts. So like I wanted this melody on the guitar part. Sometimes it might have been, and the chords are, by the way, is B to D. Sometimes it's better to just do like a power chord and record the melody on top. But like, I like, especially when you use like wider intervals, I like when those two exist together, especially when there's just not a lot of other guitars. And they really, the guitars and the strings work really, they kind of work in tandem. Oh, did I not? Oh gosh, did I not? I forgot to bounce the guitars for that section. That's a yellow card. I'll play along with it then. That's fine. Let's go. Yellow card, George. So they kind of work together, you know. And then it kind of go. Well, the next part, I'll be honest, I was like, I needed to get to G. So I was like, okay, I want something really punchy and I want to get to G. Why? Because I intended to finish the song on G, which is a semitone up from G. G minor, I was like, I was testing out the final chorus. I was like, well, it works well in G minor. So the first one was an F sharp minor. I said, okay, I can take it to G minor, which means that I can also do like the final belt kind of. So I was like, okay, how do we go there? So I came up with this little thing, which is again a bit experimental for the style, but it just, I don't know, it was like, F it. Let's go crazy. Little glottal.
I can see it, I can feel it. I swear I'll be so high.
So let me welcome you into my head for that section. I wanted something disruptive, so I was like, okay, let's do this sort of like hard kind of riff. Okay, so chord-wise, I was like, I'm going to start in A minor, go down a minor third, because if you move the same, at least in my book, you got the same tonality, but you move it down a minor third, it's quite traumatic. And remember, I want to go to G, so I'm like, okay, I could go to G from there, but I like the idea of doing, which is, you hear this very traumatic, like Shine You Crazy Diamond. But anyhow, so F, I'm like, okay, well, I could be in G if I'm playing F major. I could be like in a G7 scale, for example. But then I wanted more drama because I'm Greek. So I was like, okay, then we're going to go to C minor. And that takes me nicely to G. So that's what's happening there, and of course it's articulated more of like a riff kind of way, because I wanted to be disruptive, because you go from like something quite somber, and then you're like in your face. I thought that was kind of cool. It felt cool at the time. So if I just play the chords over the section, so. And I sort of tailored the vocal to really sort of emphasize that. So again, there's just no limits. There's a lot of cool things you can do to create tension and arrive where you want to. And again, this is cool because it just gets you to just be extra whimsical and creative. And then the next section, I wanted to feel like quite open. The vocals are really kind of going for it, and so there's just a lot of sustained chords. I wanted to feel like a big classic rock, I guess you can call it, like section with like big chords ringing out, and I've just got some subtle stabs happening. So and the vocals being quite like punchy. And again, this is a choice for the arrangement, because for that section, to be honest, leading to the last chorus, I wanted it to be like just a sea of different emotions, and I wanted the listener to not be settled into one thing. So that's what's happening. And then we proceed, it's much like I did in the second verse, to a more sort of ensemble riff-based sort of, situation, I guess, arrangement. So we go from more of an open vibe.
If someone told me lately, everyone deserves a chance to fly, and if I'm flying.
And again, there's something that I also spoke about in a previous section, is like, I love for little moments where, the drums might catch some of the vocals and create like a little bit more of a moment, which is really cool for transitions. And again, if you're singing that, you're going to sing that like a little bit more punchy.
If someone told me everyone deserves a chance to fly.
So, there's just, it's something that you as a singer, you got to factor into that performance. And that whole section is based around this sort of A7th, A Mixolydian kind of vibe. There's just such an attitude about that sound. It's no coincidence. I feel like a lot of Southern rock is that kind of vibe, Well, where's my sound? Here it is. It's got just an attitude about it. So, similar approach. So bass, guitar, and the horns and short staccato strings sort of are just doing the same thing. Here. Nice and tight. And we're going to the pre-chorus. And some cool things are happening because remember, we're in G major and I want to go to G minor. So this cool thing is happening here.
At least I'm flying to those who grab me. Take the message back from me. Whoa.
So the thing that probably will catch your ear is this.
Take the message back from me. Whoa.
And I'm certainly not reinventing the wheel there. All I'm doing, and this is just a songwriting vehicle that you can do. First and foremost, we got a minor third movement up, which to me, they always sound very dramatic. So we're going from C. To E flat. If you're like, let's say you're in G major, you want to land into G minor, you can call it bore. You can use chords. I've been here, I tell you, this is the third time I'm doing all this. You can use chords from G minor to land into your key, to transition to it, and it creates a very sort of big, very big dramatic effect. So this is what I'm doing there. Again, it's quite commonplace amongst songwriting. It just really adds a lot of it adds this sort of epic sort of sprinkle to your progression. And I'm making a point to create this little line between the strings. This moment here to be one with the guitars. Because I think it just adds even more epic sprinkles. Again, when you have quite a busy, because this is not the busiest thing I've ever put together, but there's still a lot to it. You kind of, sometimes some things got to go together. It makes up for emotionally and sort of in terms of like just space, it just makes sense. And sometimes, everything's got to go its own way, not to quote Fleetwood Mac. So that leads us into the third chorus. So let's go and take a listen to the third chorus. This hits quite hard. Let's go. Hit the wrong thing again in the end. I told you it's been you have so much on. You play something, then you forget it. But anyhow, okay. So in terms of like the drums, I wanted, I still call it the Coldplay beat, but it's probably not. But that's for me, it's like that do 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 whatever that song is. I forgot. What's the name of that song? You know the one. Piano was big hit in my country. Anyway, so the drums are like. Really punchy, and there's just a lot more movement. I mean, it's all like this. Interestingly enough, for the last chorus, I was like, okay, the vocal stuff. Of course, it's the vocal. It still needs to. It's the main thing, but actually, there was a lot more fair split in terms of like volumes and stuff for the other stuff, and everything is. I mean. Is busier. It's still, I feel like it's like, for example, I moved the strings in a higher range to cut through a lot more. The guitars are playing like a bit higher up. So everything fits together quite well, in my opinion, but the vocals a little bit more inside the band as opposed to I feel like the second chorus. And again, for that, it was just the groove is so particular that I feel like it was more the case of trying to like find, because it's got to be the that's like the groove, but just thinking, okay, well, I'm gonna play the chords for the guitar. Should I play them here? And I ended up actually moving them up in that range. Just to make sure that everything fits well in the picture. I mean, everything is just more high energy. And this was actually quite a straightforward section to put together, because once I sort of established that that's kind of the drum groove that I wanted, I feel like it's quite, it's quite particular. The one thing that I did on the synths, I did a little synth kick as well, which I sidechained to the kick of the drum, so it adds that extra sort of little oomph on the kick, like. And obviously in the mix, like, it's the kind of thing that if you remove it, you'll probably feel it, but it's not very obvious because it's not really a sort of a particularly musical sort of piece. So, yes, if we hear the whole thing again, I think the main takeaway from that was, for me, the thing I kind of struggle is like fitting things like the guitars and making sure that again, that it felt more like the whole band. It wasn't like vocal in the whole band, but you could still sort of hear the vocals. And again, I'm not a very experienced mixing engineer, so I think a lot of the times I tried a few things and it was quite apparent that like it's you got to get the arrangement first and tones and stuff. And once I changed the heavier guitar to this part, it did it for me. So yeah, I mean, I'm quite happy with the chorus. But again, the challenge is you got to leave room for the end, because in the end it's got to feel even bigger. How do we do that? Let's see. So right before the big storm in the end, we got to have a little bit of quiet. So the next section is very, very minimal. It's just guitar and vocals.
Nobody and all of us, no wizard that
it's going a bit more poppy.
Was is ever gonna bring me.
That is a little bit closer to the original in terms of the harmonic movement there in the end, because I wanted, that's such a recognizable ending, I feel, that I kind of wanted it to be a little bit sort of closer, give a nudge to the original. So what did I do? Yeah, so for that little poppy kind of thing, I got like the one. It's a Nickelback song, isn't it? Far Away. There you go. No, they go to this. Okay, fine, whatever. So 1, 5, 2, 4 minor, and then 5 sus. That's again, those last two movements really sort of tip the hat to the original. And then we've got the big crescendo. Let's take a listen. Then we got the first crescendo, and then there's another crescendo. Let's take a listen. Okay, so for this one, I wanted to create a sort of a really sinister feel on the strings. So I like that the push and pull of the, sort of not really changing the bass by having the tension of the, because again, remember we're in G minor now, of the 1 and the 7th. So in terms of bass, like there's just not a lot of movement. To start with, at least, we start in G, and there's some sort of little harmonies coming in, which are kind of sinister. but the strings have that sort of push and pull between the root and the seventh. And I just love that. I mean, it creates sort of a really dystopian, dramatic kind of feel. The guitar harmonies are probably a tip off to the Carrie Ellis version, because obviously Brian May's playing there, so there's going to be guitar harmonies. To be honest, when I did this, I didn't have any guitar harmonies going on there, and I felt like something was missing. And yeah, it was the harmonies kind of did it. They added this sort of haunting feel to it. That is the main thing about that section. I mean, obviously the vocals is very belty. So you know, I had fun screaming those notes. And again, the drums very Tommy. And it was quite cool because and again, that's why you kind of want people to play. Like, I like the sort of more fluid sort of performance timing wise. They were not like militant, like dum da da dum, which I thought added a lot, because there's a lot of openness into that section. Apart from like the drums, really, it's a very open section. Everything else is quite open and flowy. Like that last third roll, it was the timing is not like, but that's a great thing, you know. As long as it lands well, like I really like that. I know, like in this day and age, we kind of use for everything to feel like super quantized, especially in some styles. I feel like that's happened a lot in like maybe modern rock and metal, but I love to have the flow, you know, where things move a little bit more. And that for that one, that was the main thing. I wanted that sort of dramatic pull and push between the 1 and the 7th. And then we're moving up, forward motion. Okay. And then the big last note is coming in for that one. So obviously, as I said, the big instigator for doing this video was Josh Ramsay's version, and I like what I liked about his version. Well, I liked everything. You know, I think it was a great performance, and it was so inspiring to see him do it like on the spot. But I like that he did something different in the end. Now, I'm not like a virtuoso singer or anything, so I did like shitloads of takes trying to really sort of copy the original in terms of movement and stuff, and I think after 50 takes, my voice was pretty fried. Kind of said, look, just sing it, and whatever happens, and this is what I got, which probably I think it was the last take, and you can hear my voice is fried, but I don't know. I preferred it to the cleaner ones, so I kept it. And I basically tailored the ending to that. And I was in two minds. I was like, do I make it like even bigger or more subtle? And I like the idea of the voice being like really sort of, you know, really strong, or at least as strong as I can get it with my vocal skills, and everything else feeling like it's sort of dying down. So I did the classic. Let me grab the bass for a second. Okay, see, I told you I'm a fake bass player as well. So I wanted to create like to finish in a little bit of a kind of unorthodox kind of way. So I wanted to create this bass hook and really just have everything else die down. So the thinking behind it is nothing crazy. We start with B flat major, so the 1 that becomes the 5 of the 4, then 4 minor, back to the 1. So I wanted to create like a little line, so I ended up with this. Let me do it one more time. I butchered it. and have that as a little layer underneath the vocals. And just, you know, have a little bit of a contradiction between the vocals that are just like really sort of gritty and like shouty, and just make everything else just super pretty. And I guess sometimes it feels good to have those like little, I guess, contradictions. Oh, and now that I've got the bass, you know, there is, I'm a fake bass player, I'm not a real bass player, but, you know, bass players got to do fills as well. So there's this fill that I did on the second chorus, and I even automated the volume so that it's loud. It's actually quite prominent in the mix. And I'm just going to play it along because why not? Right, so that is the end of an eventful video. When I started filming this, it was the morning, and now it's obviously not. Not that this is saying much because we're in the UK, and much like in other places in the world, it's winter, so dark comes early. Anyways, thank you very much for sticking around. To those who haven't, it's quite a long video, but I hope you got some ideas for your next creative project. If you enjoyed that version of Defying Gravity, you can follow the link and go watch it on YouTube and listen to it and share it with your wicked loving friends. Not wicked, friends that love wicked. I'm not saying your friends are wicked. Maybe you have wicked friends. I have no idea who your friends are. And check out all my music, the description. Thanks again to Josh Ramsay for the inspiration for this one. I wouldn't have done this if I hadn't watched your video, and to Musora for accommodating it. And you guys look after yourselves, and I'll see you very soon. Cheers.